Item is to of 11/8/23. Do I have a motion to, has everybody had a chance to look these over?
11/6. 6, 11/6.
11/6.
Yes.
Oh, it says 8, but it's 6. Okay. 11/6/23. I have a motion to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Unanimous, minutes are approved. Now to our meeting with Ledgewood Construction. I'd like to first introduce the members of our committee. This is the Municipal Building Committee. These are the folks that have guided the process thus far. And I just want to go around the room and let them introduce themselves and say just a teeny fraction of what they do. I'll start with Dareth Roberts. If you can see her over here at the end of our table.
So I'm Dareth Roberts. I'm a retired nurse practitioner. I used to go around to hospitals in Maine evaluating their nursing services and also did quality assurance at Maine Medical Center for the medical and nursing staff.
And
I'm
Linda?
Linda Gillies, and in my professional life in New York, I ran a foundation, the Vincent Astor Foundation, for 23 years. And now I'm on Islesboro, known as a year-round summer person.
And I'll add that Linda Gillies also was the chair of the fundraising committee for the island, for this project. Very successfully.
And I'm Pete Anderson. I'm the vice chair of this committee, and I'm also the owner's representative for these projects.
And I'm Lauren Bruce. I'm the chair of the Municipal Building Committee, and also I'm a member of the Select Board.
Bill Boardman, former CEO and plumbing inspector. And easy mark for Lauren to get me on the committee.
All right, and if Mark, I think all of us know Mark Ouellette. Thank you for being here, Mark, and Steve Blatt, who seems to have stepped out for the moment. But
Right here, I'm here.
Oh, you're here, okay. Peter Pelletier, do you mind introducing yourself and then talking a little bit about Ledgewood?
Sure. So I'm Peter Pelletier. I am the president and director of pre-construction for Ledgewood Construction. Ledgewood Construction was founded in 1978. That makes us in business for about 45 years. The current owner is Peter Bernard, and he has owned the company for 20 years. We are Ledgewood Construction. Prior to Peter Bernard purchasing the company, it was known as Ledgewood Inc. But we got 45 years of experience under our belt. We are construction managers. And I want to make sure everybody understands the distinction between a construction manager and a general contractor. Years ago, we started out as a general contractor. As a general contractor, takes on a project, has their crews, does a fair amount of work with their own crews, and then they sub out specialty things like mechanical, electrical. A construction manager is a whole different approach. A construction manager, we are professionals in managing construction. We do not self-perform any work. We have no crews of our own. And what that advantage to the clients are, that means 100% of your project is going to be competitively bid. If you hire a general contractor / construction manager, those are general contractors that do construction management on the side. You know, I always wonder, you know, if I was sitting on your side of the table, how do I know the general contractor is giving us the best price for the work he's performing with his own crews? Our situation is, because we don't perform anything, we put everything out to bid, so you get competitive prices, so you can be assured that you're getting the best price for your project. But we have very seasoned people that manage your work. We have project managers that work out of our office that will visit the job site and deal with requisitions and all the paperwork. And then we have superintendents that work on the specific site and are there every day managing the site. For this particular job, we propose Scott Clark as our project manager. And Scott has been in the business for 36 years, comes with a lot of experience. In 16 of those years, he and I have worked together right here at Ledgewood. Peter McPherson is who we would propose for the superintendent. Peter's been in the business just as long as I have, for 46 years. And he's been with Ledgewood only 9 years, but during those 9 years, he and Scott have done multiple jobs together. So they understand each other, and they're a great team. They work very well together. So we have a very seasoned team that we're proposing for this project. We're not bringing in, junior people that are learning the trade on your project. Our guys have seen that, done that kind of scenario. So, should I just get into my little spiel?
Yeah.
Or do you have questions? Or how do you want to do this?
We're enjoying it very much. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So the construction management contract breaks down into two parts: pre-construction and construction. My opinion, because I'm the director of pre-construction is the most important part. Scott's opinion might be a little different. But anyhow, pre-construction is where we work with you and your design team to help develop a project that meets your needs and is within your budget. And there's a lot of processes that we have to go through. I mean, we'll be, part of our pre-construction process is, obviously providing you estimating budget feedbacks, and, if you do this, you can save money, that kind of thing. But we go beyond that. I mean, one of the things we do is constructability reviews. So, and I get Scott and Peter involved in this. And so we'll get the preliminary drawings and get those guys to look at the project and look at it as if they were building it. And so they start looking at, okay, if we look at this detail, a particular sub has to come and do something, then he goes away and somebody else has to come and do something, then he comes back and finishes work. We try to simplify and make recommendations and changing details and changing how you do things to make it more efficient for the sub. Our goal is when the subcontractors look at your project, they can say, hey, this project is the job I want to bid because I can see my guys getting in, getting out, and we can make a profit. It's not a lot of hanging around, lost time, waiting for somebody else. So that's part of our constructability reviews. Then we look at products, we look at interaction between products to make sure that, we haven't had problems with particular details or scenarios in the past, and we if we have, we'll make that aware to Mark and Steve and suggest changes to try to avoid pitfalls. One of the other important parts of pre-construction is value management. Our industry uses the term value engineering, but I've been in this business long enough that I know we don't engineer anything. I mean, we're going to help you manage the value of your project. And, unfortunately, a lot of times value management means you have to give up stuff in order to get the project down to a value you can afford. But it's not always the case. Sometimes it's like, we're going to help you get, spending the same amount of money, but getting more bang for your buck. Those are the types of things that we're going to be looking at during pre-construction. Now, when I understand, you're quite a ways along in the design, so we're going to have to compress a lot of that to try to get through the process. The other thing we do during pre-construction is, again, we kind of think about the subcontractors and try to make the project as attractive as we can to the subs to get them excited about the job, to get you a better price. So we'll do a site-specific logistic plan and safety plan. Take a look at it, figure, and let the subs know, because one of the things the subcontractors, the more information we can give them, the better they are equipped to give you a tight number. If there's gray areas and vagueness in what they're looking at, they're going to carry some extra money to cover themselves on that, a little hidden contingency that if they don't spend it, you're not going to get it back. So our goal is to try to make it a clear project for them. So we're going to work on the site logistics. Now, we know this job, because being on an island, logistics is a big deal. And the good news is, as you all probably know, is, we have experience working with the school on the island. And we did a couple of unique things on that project that I would like to introduce to this project. One is we reached out to the island people and said, you guys, the building committee, tell us what the resources are on the island. When we did the school, if I remember right, the marina out there had a storage facility that when the boats were in the water, he had all this extra capacity. And so we got his name and number out to the bidders so they could contact him. A lot of subs took advantage of that and brought product to the island, stored it in his facility, so they had it there when we needed it. One or two of the subcontractors actually used his crane in erecting and working on the project. So that is an opportunity where some of your dollars for your project is going back into your community. And things like, places to stay. If some subs want to have people to stay over, if people want a room to rent, that type of thing. We provided that list to the bidders, and it turned out to be very helpful to the bidders because they were able to utilize resources that were on the island. And like I said, put money back into your community. The other thing we looked at was the ferry schedule. And based on the ferry schedule, the contractors were only going to be working 6.5, maybe 7 hours a day. They would lose an hour and a half a day in productivity because of the schedule. And so we sat back and said, how can we fix this? And so what we did, we contacted Quicksilver, and he put on a construction run early in the morning. If I remember right, it was like 6 a.m. To pick up the people from the contractors from the mainland and bring them over to the island. So that way, what we were able to sell to the subcontractors is, you're going to get full production out of your guys. We're going to work 4/10. So it was a win for the subcontractors, their employees, because they worked 4/10. And it was a win for the island because we had Fridays off. We were not on the island for the weekends. And so I think that was a very positive move. And, I think our approach really helped the project along, because we got subs that were very interested in bidding the job, because a lot of their crews liked the idea of having long weekends every weekend. And the individual contractors liked the job because they were getting full production out of their crews, and you didn't end up having to pay for all that downtime. And the island got a win because we had less people on the island on Fridays. So I would like to look at the same scenario on this project to see if it's doable. But that's the type of thing we would look at. Then also during pre-construction, we actually develop a detailed schedule. So again, telling the subs what's expected of them when they bid the job. If they get a detailed schedule, they can again tighten up their number a little bit. And then at the end of pre-construction, we put the project out to bid. So part of my process is I do a detailed scope of work for each individual trade, so that they understand what's expected of them in their price. And and then at the same time, as that bid package, we will inform them of the resources on the island. We'll provide them with the schedule. And then during the bidding process, we'll manage questions. If the subcontractor has a question for us, we'll not only get the answer from Steve's group, but we'll make sure the answer gets out to all the bidders, so everybody's informed of what the question was and what the answer is. And then we'll also, after we receive all the bids, it's not, okay, they were done, we will actually do post-bid interviews. We will bring in the low 2 or 3 subs, depending how close the numbers are, for every trade, and do an interview with them. Go over the schedule, go over the scope. And I can't tell you how many times we've done this with subcontractors will sit across the table from me and say, I didn't carry that in my price. Well, it was on the scope. Why didn't you carry it? And they say, well, we never do that. And I said, well, we need you to do this. And so we do this with them not knowing whether there's a low bidder or not. So we give them an opportunity to adjust their number if they have to. I want to make sure that we're comparing apples for apples with these subs, and that a sub doesn't get a job because he missed something or left something off the bid, because that's a no-win for any of us. So after we get through the post-bid interviews, then we put together a GMP, guaranteed maximum price estimate, what we think the project's going to cost you, based on all of those post-bid interviews. And we will share with you who bid the job, what their bids were, what their first bid was, if they had to make an adjustment. I'll share all that. We work open book with you as a client, so you'll know what I know, and then we'll make the recommendation. We'll give you the GMP, and if it's acceptable to you, then we'll sign the second half of the contract, which is actually the GMP and the construction portion of the work. And then I kind of step back out of it and I'm no longer in the forefront of the project. Scott takes over. And it doesn't mean that he's just learning the job at that point. All through pre-construction, Scott will be involved in helping develop the bid packages, helping develop the schedule. So he will know that project intimately before he starts work. Peter McPherson will be not quite as much, because he's working on another project right now. But whenever we can tie him in, because his insight on what's going on in the field is very helpful to us in, again, reviewing the scopes, doing the schedule. So he'll have input on that as well. So these guys will hit the ground running. They'll know what's expected, what we want to accomplish, and start the work. And they manage the construction. Scott, as the project manager, will manage all the contracts and purchase orders, submittals, shop drawings. He'll manage that with Blatt's office and engineers to make sure that we're getting the right product that they were supposed to get, and that everything, when we get to order the materials, we're ordering the right materials. And Scott will be involved in all that heavily. Peter will be managing the ongoing day-to-day activity in the field. And because this project has 2 different sites, so he's going to be bouncing back and forth between the sites, and in managing to make sure that our goals are met on a daily basis. One of the things that, we'll develop the overall project schedule and make it part of the bid packages. But then what Peter will be doing is, on a weekly basis, doing a look-ahead schedule. He'll take that schedule and take a look at what's going to happen over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And he'll do a detailed schedule day by day, what he anticipates happening, coordinating with the subs. And he'll update that every week. So every week he's adding another week to it. And he shares that with the subs at our weekly subcontractor meeting. So they go over it, they talk about it, because the subs have an opportunity to say, oh, wait a minute, I can't do that because I need this done first. And so they'll help coordinate all that. But that look-ahead schedule is very critical, because it helps, like I say, and we'll share that with you, and you'll know day-to-day what our activities are. Because the logistics of where the project, the medical building, is going in proximity to the town hall, obviously he's going to need to coordinate very closely with you guys about, when we're going to get deliveries, where, what activities you might have that we have to make sure we avoid. And so there'll be a lot of close coordination on that. So that's part of his duties out in the field. And then also his duties are quality control. He's going to be making sure that the products being used are the ones that were specified, are the ones that were approved and were submitted and approved on, and he'll be making sure they're installed properly. One of the real assets that with Peter McPherson is the fact he's a certified code inspector in the state of Maine. And so he knows his codes, and subs aren't going to be able to pull the wool over his eyes. He's going to know when they're doing it right and when they're doing it wrong. And so that's a big advantage we have with Peter and his years of experience. The other thing I wanted to kind of mention is we have a long history of medical projects. We've done large medical office buildings. We've done a lot of tenant fit up type of projects. We're actually Peter's working on a project for Northern Light Health right now on a project right here in South Portland in an office building where we're fitting up for, about 2,000 square feet for them. So, we have our finger in the medical industry, and we have for years and years. We've got a lot of experience with that. And that's kind of my spiel. Just want to open it up for questions and what I can help you with.
That sounds great. I think we will do exactly that. Thank you so much. That was quite thorough, and it makes coming up with questions very difficult because you covered so much territory. Thank you. Let me turn to the committee first, and see if there's any questions. Bill, do you have anything?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, Pete, sorry.
Peter, Steve Anderson here. You spoke quite a lot about your pre-construction and construction phases. And since there's some small amount of displeasure with what happened at the school, could you talk to us about your post-construction commitment to the project?
Well, we're with you long term. Our warranty is typically, the construction warranty is a year, but we've gone back on projects, excuse me, multiple years after that to assist owners. We do obviously provide as-built drawings, provide you with a list of all the subs and who did what, and excuse me. And we have been known to go back and assist owners with directing them in which subcontractor they need to talk to, even it's well after the warranty period. I have heard some talk about problems at the school, but to be quite frank and quite honest, no one ever contacted us about anything with the problem with the school. So how can we react? That's my point in that.
Yeah, understood.
Any follow-up?
No.
Okay. Bill?
So talking costs. So we, if we get to the GMP and we don't have the funds to continue this progress, what kind of compensation do you work by the hour until that point?
I think we made a commitment when we first interviewed for the project, and I talked to Peter Bernard just yesterday about this, and we're willing to stand behind that commitment. We will take the risk with you during pre-construction. And if we can't get you to a budget that you can work with, we'll walk away. You don't owe us anything.
Thank you. And how about, do you dare speculate on the timing of getting a guaranteed price?
Well, I'm trying to play catch up on this. Mark was very gracious and spent a couple hours with us earlier this week to kind of walk us through the plans, but we haven't spent any time on it. My guess is, first of all, we have to make a difference between the first project that was put out to bid and what we're going to put out to bid. So we're going to need to get a fresh set of drawings, redated, because when I'm talking to subs, I want to make sure that they're working with the correct drawings. They're not working with the old set. And then we want to do the value management before we put it out to bid. And the reason that is if we put it out to bid and we're over budget, we try to do value management after, we're dealing with subcontractors that know they already have the job, and you're going to get 50 cents on the dollar. You're not going to get full credit. It's better to take the risk during the pre-construction process, during the redesign, make assumptions on what the savings are going to be. Even if you don't know what the savings are going to be, but you know you're going to save money, we know we have to cut money out of this project, make the change in the documents. So when they're bidding the job, they're bidding it and you get it at a competitive price. So that's going to be, so I'm guessing that could take 3 or 4 weeks to get those drawings to the point where we're ready to rebid it. Once we get those documents, it's going to take 30 days it's going to take us about a week to develop all the bid packages. Now we'll work on some preliminary stuff during the redesign. But when we get the final documents, to get everything packaged together, to get it out to the subs, we got to give them at least a couple weeks to bid the job. Then we're going to take a week after the bids come in to do our post-bid interviews. The challenge we have, this is the holiday season too. We got to take a look at how that's all going to work. So one of the things, if we get involved in this project, is we'll do a schedule, and we'll do a schedule for pre-construction. Say, okay, let's lay this out. Let's figure out what day we're going to target to put it out the bid, what day we're going to target to get the numbers back, to make sure we're trying to avoid the holidays. The biggest problem is between Christmas and New Year's, you can't have a bid due during that week because no one's around.
Right.
So ideally, I'd like to get the numbers in before Christmas, because then people are focused on it. If you do it the week after New Year's, been away for a week, it's just better if we can push it and try to get done before then. So I'm guessing you're probably looking at a couple months before you can start.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dareth or Linda, do you have a question?
No.
David Sessions, do you have a question or a comment? Pete or Steve, do you want to add anything?
Mark.
I'm sorry, Mark or Steve, do you want to add anything?
No, that's I don't have anything to add. Great presentation, Peter. All I would add is that we've started consolidating our documents. We had a brief discussion with Peter already, as he mentioned. So the ball is already rolling on our side of things, if you will, but we're ready to work with the new CM. And we appreciate Peter's input, as you've heard. They bring a lot to the table, and if approved, we would start immediately with Ledgewood.
We're gonna have a coordination issue that we want to talk about. Peter Pelletier, Ledgewood is 10 minutes from our office, so we can meet. We can not just Zoom and call, but we can meet and go over drawings. And Ledgewood is, because we know we've built many buildings with them, they're so experienced that they can pinpoint almost immediately. Peter's has already started doing it, saying, if you do this instead of that, there's good money there. For instance, I don't want to get too particular, but we have all known that there's a drop-off in the site as it goes back toward the wetlands. And Peter immediately looked at that and said, if you can stay away from that, we can sit, for instance, if you could shrink up the building on that side, there's a lot of money in that fill. So Mark and I have been looking at providing the same program spaces, but at the end, the east end of the building, rather than the west side, the north side, except the west side. So at the end, beyond the storage area, seeing if those things could be located there. And Peter Pelletier said to us, that's worth looking at. Whereas if we say we're looking at smaller, he'd probably say that's not worth looking at. That's a few $1,000s. If he's looking at something that's multiple tens of $1,000s, especially in site work, that's what we're going to look at. He has told us to look at our roofs. We're building a huge amount of volume. On the other hand, you are our client, you committee members. We have shown you a building that you have approved. So we want to be very careful about where those changes might occur. We are looking at the fire barn. I keep calling it that. You understand what I'm talking about. I think we're looking at that really hard. We want to do a very, very straightforward, sensible barn there. And we still cannot understand where the prior prices were coming from. But I just want you to know that we're looking at things from our side. Pete Pelletier is looking at things from the building side. And I think over the next 10 days, we're going to come back to you, our building committee, with some proposals and say, how does this feel to you? How does this feel to you? Because we've all been talking about the obvious quandary about how much money do we really need to have to build this? Peter Pelletier and Ledgewood are going to try to help us be very, very respectful of our budget. You notice that he just didn't say, we're going to tell you what it costs no matter what your budget is. He said, we're going to try to respect your budget. And I think that's a very important thing to acknowledge. And we are very conscious of that. And it's not so much a matter of pride and being defensive of the estimates we gave you early on. It's because we think that it represents a value, that the budget we provided for you is a good value. And if we can't match it, we want to get as close as we possibly can. So I just want you to know that that's still foremost in our concerns, is respecting that it's a lot of money. It's a small population we're serving. And we want to make sure that there's very good reason that if we do need extra funding, we can explain it to you and you'll understand. Thank you.
Appreciate that very much, Steve. I was going to have the vote now, but I'd like to hear from the few people that are here from the public first, see if they have any questions. We have here in the room Mert Durkee, who is the fire chief. So I would just want to turn to him and see if he has any questions or comments.
Not at this time. What I gather is with design check-in, there will be some minor changes to help with overall cost. If you choose this construction manager, they'll get updated plans to make a new set of pricing and then react from that. But I'm willing to listen and look things over as we go.
Thank you, Mert. Jennifer West, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
Janet Anderson is here. She's our town manager. I think you probably know that, Peter, but I just thought I'd introduce Janet Anderson. Do you have any comment or?
No, I'm happy for what I've heard. It sounds very cohesive and positive, so.
Cressica Brazier, do you have a comment or question?
No, thank you for the presentation. Please do value manage the roof slope. You can. Thank you.
And Carrie Reed, our amazing secretary, Zoom master. Do you have any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Okay, I think we've covered everything. I'm sorry, Fred. Goodness me, our multi-talented, multi-director, Fred Porter is also online. Fred, do you have any questions or comments?
I have no questions. I just hope this all works out, and thank you for the great presentation.
Thank you, Fred. Well said. All right, thank you so much. I think, oh, David, did you have a question or comment? Okay. I think we're through for this. We're going to vote. So we're going to excuse everyone from the room as well as on Zoom. And then we'll have a follow-up discussion with Steve Blatt, Mark, Pete, and I after everybody leaves. So thank you so much, and that was quite a thorough presentation, and we really appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. I apologize for not being in person. Obviously beyond our control. I would have liked to have been able to share some nice photos of some past projects, but they're all pretty. Have a good day, guys.
This is Steve. Thank you, committee, for considering this change.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve.
Do I need to put anybody in a meeting?
Everybody is to leave except for the members of the,
Well, I guess they haven't
So,
set up.
oh, you don't have to?
no, that's
Oh,
not.
okay,
You can put them in a waiting room.
okay.
You can put those
Okay,
two.
Jessica, you can stay.
I thought we weren't going into executive session.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I've lost my mind. Completely lost my mind. Just the folks who are being voted on have to leave, not anybody else.
They don't have to be. No, public meeting.
They're gone.
Yeah, they're gone.
Okay. All right. We have a motion to approve moving forward with Ledgewood.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's unanimous. I think we're ready. That's motion will go to the select board. My understanding from the chair of the select board is they do not need to have a vote to approve that. All we're doing is recommending that we go forward at this point.
Could you tell me what was the bill from the other outfit again?
H.E. Callahan with 2,200, and we made it clear in the letter that that was to include reimbursement for a rental property. I was warned by Steve Blatt, it is not inconceivable that we get another bill from H.E. Callahan. So I don't know.
So I'm sorry, Janet, but I have a question about funding this project. And I touched it with you the other day, but if we are short for both the combined projects, I think, which we have to move forward to, however we phase it in or whatnot. Is there a general fund money that is not allocated that we can?
Let me see if Janet can come back.
And that's legal, you have to go to the town to disperse that, or can that be done by the select board?
I think that can be done by the select board.
I think there's like 100.
And,
Janet mentioned maybe as much as 200, but I'm not sure if he had checked.
and maybe in this upcoming budget period, they could add to that,
Right.
which they would.
Question about, if we get close to the 3.6, which is the 3.5 plus the additional 100,000 that is raised, and we get all of those promises. Janet, do we have any other additional funds that are in the reserve account or whatever? So that there's no other funds.
There's no general fund that we could,
Well, there's undesignated fund balance.
okay,
And how much of that could we use without going to the voters?
That would be a decision of the select board, I think. I think it may have in it $600,000 that
that's plenty.
we knew, well, we can't, we didn't take anything from it this year, because we wanted to leave it in there in case.
Yeah.
Taxes don't get
Eastern
paid,
draw.
well, that's coming out of a capital reserve.
Okay. So there's an undesignated fund balance, that's the term. for that-
That's the
for that.
term for,
And the town, at town meeting, we generally put in X number of dollars into that every budget?
nope, that's money that goes into that's left over from the
Oh.
budget.
Surplus.
That doesn't, yeah, it used to be called surplus,
Okay.
but it's not really, but,
With that amount, I may have missed something. Will that amount increase in the next fiscal year?
it could, depending, I don't know, this year I'm having a lot of overages on road issues for one thing, so that at the end of the year would come out of that reserve. You know, so,
But during the budget process too, the select board could recommend to the town to put in X number of dollars for this project.
correct, the
And it
next
could be-
budget, you mean?
Yeah, and it could be up or down at the town meeting.
Yep, and whereas I haven't yet borrowed that 1.75 that we were authorized to borrow. That may be something we can look at, perhaps increasing that.
But to do that, you'd have to get
That would
approval by
have to
the.
be town meeting
Yeah,
vote.
right.
Yeah. And town meeting
I see.
can be earlier than June, you know,
Yeah.
if we get everything in the budget, it's based on the budget usually, and that's done usually in March. So it could be earlier than
Gotcha.
June, but we have, we've spent
nearly $300,000, so we don't really have that 1.6 or 1.
We spent what do we spend, 300,000?
We've spent money. Well, who do you think's paying the architects and who do you think's,
I
I've
have
got
no
all.
idea.
Yeah.
This is the first I've heard of it.
Well, yeah, and there's been fundraising money, there's been,
there's the testing for the site,
there was some, there's a lot that we've spent, so when we keep saying like Linda's raised 1.7, or it will hopefully be another 100, but we don't physically have.
Yeah.
That, because we have spent some, and I'm working on itemized, I think I gave people what we.
How are you paying these invoices? Out of
From donation money.
From the
We've been
donation money.
spending donation, that was
Okay.
the auditor's recommendation.
Yeah.
So that started.
Yeah, so that's new to me. I just thought we were just coasting down the highway. and
Oh, it's
had-
nice to live
You
in a
know,
world.
well, you gotta bring it up to me. I mean,
Yeah,
that's information that we should have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I.
well, I'm working on the itemization of what those expenses are, because someone asked.
Yeah,
me.
that'd be good.
So when I find time, I'm doing it, but,
Yeah,
I'm juggling a lot of balls,
yeah.
but don't make me juggle anymore.
we had way of getting Steve or Mark back for talk to them about that we voted
Yeah.
on the.
Yeah, you sure can.
Is that all this committee needs to do today?
Yes, but Pete's suggesting we talk further quickly with Mark and Pete. You wanna do that with everybody, right?
If we can. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't wanna-
Yes, could you ask Mark and Steve Black to get back on Zoom? This is Lauren Bruce on Islesboro. So we can still talk for a second here. Do we have anything else? What are you all feeling? Good.
That was a good presentation.
Yeah, very thorough.
Yeah.
Hi, Mark, you and Steve get back on Zoom, just the regular Zoom, just, same one you got on this morning, yeah. Okay, well, we're here and we want to chat with you. Bye. Yeah, actually, he covered a lot of things and your questions further covered a winter construction. As I understand it, they do have some extra money in there related to the fact that it would be winter construction. So the timeline was a big one in my mind. So it sounds like we're talking 2 months.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
So,
So that's like March, April.
Yeah, that's,
so we're talking January.
no. I wouldn't see breaking ground probably until, end of February, March, sort of.
Once the frost is gone.
Hi, everybody. Hello, Mark. Hello, Steve.
You're muted.
Can you hear us? Oh, I think you're muted. We can,
No, they are unmuted now.
We
we
can hear
can't hear you. Oh, there you go. Okay. Okay, so Pete, go ahead.
So we have formally decided to go with Ledgewood. So we made that recommendation to go to the select board and they'll do that at their next meeting.
We don't need to.
They don't need to
necessarily do
approve.
anything, but we will send them that we have recommended or decided to go with Ledgewood.
That's wonderful. That's very
Excellent.
good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah,
With your approval, we're gonna start working with Ledgewood today on their recommendations from their first blush. We are agreeing that we are not gonna not provide space. We're not gonna eliminate any function space, including the overnight accommodation, even though we may not be able to afford to finish it and use it as an accommodation because of the sprinkler issue, but we'll get a real price for what it would cost to sprinkle it and use it. Is that okay with you?
Sounds appropriate. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
Is, I have a question. Is the renovation of the existing health center, is that kind of off the table? Is that, where is that?
we
That's
still
the
have a
part-
line item for it, Bill.
Pardon me?
We haven't touched it. We are not, the line item is secure. It's still there.
Okay.
Okay?
It wouldn't be part of their construction scope or our design current.
I
I guess
don't
that
think
was,
it's worthwhile keeping Ledgewood on the site for that. They're too high powered for that. But
Great.
they are going to do the fire barn and they're gonna do it simultaneously.
okay, yeah.
In fact, I expect they'll use the fire barn site for material storage during the project.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You wanna contact Ledgewood today and tell them that they're on board?
Steve, would you like us to contact Ledgewood, or is it more appropriate for you to do that?
Well, we will let them know right away, and Pete was feeling very comfortable with you all in his presentation, nobody challenged him. But I do want you to know that you can challenge him and he'll respond constructively. But we will call him, but there should be something from you, Lauren, and Pete, or even from Janet saying, this is to inform you that we intend to contract with you for this project. At least he'll have that in his folder, that it's real, and I think that's important.
Yep.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Okay, good. We got work to do.
Okay.
Go get them.
Sounds good. I think this takes care of, we were gonna meet after this meeting, Mark and Steve, but I think we're fine.
Okay,
All right.
now, we want to make sure that we can get access to you as a committee when we have come up with some changes, proposed changes, and that have already been discussed with Ledgewood. I think that's the difference, even though our drawings are done. And had we been back several months or 6 months when we were still in the middle of them, when Pete talks about pre-construction, a good construction manager comes on early and takes part in the design process and says, don't do it that way, do it this way. And you vet that and you evaluate it and see. So it's unusual for him as a CM to have a full set of drawings, but at least it lets him see the details. And we've been pretty careful about and being fairly straightforward and simple about our details. So I think their comments now will be major. Like, can we do this instead of this? Can we do this instead of this? We want to be able to have access to you as a committee. And to be very frank with you, as long as we aren't changing any functions and accommodations in the clinic, is if it's okay with you if we don't get buried with the medical staff, but in fact deal with you as a building committee. Did I just step on anybody's toes?
I think that's appropriate at this point.
Okay, thank you, because time is of the essence.
Yeah.
And so I will be keeping in touch with Pete while Lauren is relaxing. And if we need to call you together as a meeting, we could also do just what we're doing now. We can Zoom, we can put drawings on the board for you. You can look at them and say, I don't like it, or yes, it's fine. Is that
That
okay?
sounds great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And we'll make sure if there's any changes to the appearance of the building, that we will send you renderings, so you can see 3D renderings, not just two-dimensional drawings. Okay?
That's great. That's all wonderful. Thank you so much.
I expect we'll talk to you before Thanksgiving, but if we don't, thank you all for being with us for so long, and have a good holiday yourself.
You as well. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Last but not least, are there any other comments from the committee and any other public comments? And then it's adjourned. Any comments, Mert, Chrisika, and Carrie, Jennifer? Okay.
I think we all want to wish you well.
Oh,
Absolutely.
thank you. Thank you.
Really.
pushing this
You're
now,
welcome. Yeah.
getting things all
Hey.
back on track.
The meeting is adjourned, and I just want to say, I think this is great.
As long as you're happy, we're happy.
Whoa. Thank
Turned
you,
out not to
everybody.
be as